This page is the front cover of a Nintendo 64 magazine from May 1999. It highlights Pokémon Gold and Silver as a 4-shot release alongside Pokémon Stadium 2, Pokémon Snap, and Pokémon Pinball. There is a feature on HAL Laboratory including interviews with the developers of Pokémon Snap and Smash Bros. The cover also mentions Castlevania, Legacy of Darkness, Ogre Battle 64, Neon Genesis Evangelion, and GameCube Powerful Pro Baseball 6. Included as a special bonus is a Pokémon and Power Pro 6 sticker sheet. This page is an advertisement for the Nintendo 64 game One Guy Monsters, which translates to Request Monsters. It's presented as a monster breeding simulation game, with 500 types of monsters available. The game was scheduled for release on April 9th, priced at 6,980 yen. There's also a special campaign for purchasers running from April 9th to May 31st, offering prizes via lottery, including a color Game Boy, Pokémon Gold and Silver game cartridges, and original One Guy Monsters stickers. The next page showcases advertisements for game fan books. Firstly, there's an ad for the Eberouge 2 Official Academy Guidance for PlayStation, asking if you can reach the ending with your favorite girl. Next is the Neko Samurai Strategy Guidebook, also for PlayStation, questioning if the soul of Cat Mata, Jubei, can be saved. The third book advertised is the Soraku Toshi Osake Official Guidebook for PlayStation, with text promoting acquiring the first usage rights for the Babel Advertising Tower in Osaka, which is under construction. Below these are more guidebooks, starting with the Falcom Classics 2 Official Guidebook for Sega Saturn, and the Mikagura Shoujo Tanteidan Strategy Guidebook for PlayStation. There is also an ad for the Konami parody comic series Suikoden. Finally, the bottom row of ads begins with the Doki Doki Pretty League Niketsu Otome Seishunki Official Guidebook for PlayStation, followed by the first album First Kiss Monogatari Official Memorial Book, which covers both PlayStation and PCFX versions. Lastly, there's a tentative advertisement for the Nurse Monogatari Story Official Guidebook for PlayStation. This page is the contents page for the May 1999 issue, Volume 32 of the magazine. It highlights the main features, including a special feature on Pokémon Snap, a feature about HAL Laboratory Brothers, and a collection of 1999 spring Pokémon games for Pokémon Gold and Silver, Pokémon Stadium 2, and Pokémon Snap. There is also a commemoration of Shigeru Miyamoto's award acceptance speech. New software information includes previews of GameCube Powerful Pro Yaku 6, Power Pro 6, Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Wipeout 64, and Fire Emblem Thracia 776. Strategy information includes articles on Maju Dorakura, Mokushiroku, Castlevania 64, and Bokuju Monogatari 2, Harvest Moon 64. The Game Index lists a variety of N64 games and their page numbers, including Person of Lordly Caliber, Ogre Battle 64, Game Boy Gallery 3, GameCube Powerful Pro Yaku 6, Power Pro 6, Wipeout 64, and Pokémon Snap. There's also a monologue section with a message from the cover designer. Finally, there are serialized articles and features listed, covering various topics like N64 questions, new software release calendar, 64Dream rankings, and reader contributions. This page is an April release calendar outlining upcoming games for the N64 and Game Boy. The headline calendar section highlights 3 key points. Firstly, the popularity of Pokémon with Pokémon Snap, released on March 21st, and anticipation for Pokémon Stadium 2, also noting the arrival of Pokémon Gold and Silver on Game Boy in June. Secondly, it discusses the 64DD's release timeframe, aiming for an April launch and mentioning titles like SimCity 64 and Mario Artist as nearing completion. Thirdly, it talks about Marigal software, suggesting data portability with the 64DD for creating new play experiences. The Coming Soon section previews games with screenshots and release dates. Pokémon Snap for March 21st, GameCube Powerful Pro Yaku 6, Power Pro Baseball 6 for March 25th, Super Bowling for March 26th, and One Guy Monster, Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber, for April 9th. The April calendar lists daily events, including game releases. N64 titles mentioned throughout April are Power Pro Kun Pocket, Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber, Ukai Monster, One Guy Monster, SD Hiryu no Ken X, Top Gear Pocket, and GQGI Stable, GI Stable, alongside Pokemon Festival events in Osaka, Tokyo, Sendai, and Nagoya. This page presents the Doki Doki Dream Ranking Top 20, a reader-voted list of the most anticipated upcoming N64 games, with Mother 3 at number 1. The page features screenshots from Mother 3 showing in-game scenes and characters, and also GQ Powerful Pro Yaku 6 featuring baseball gameplay. Accompanying the ranking is a This Month's Words commentary section, discussing the ranking results, and mentioning that Mother 3, GQ Powerful Pro Yaku 6, and Ogre Battle 3 are closely ranked. It highlights Mother 3 being significantly ahead in points, and notes that new information on Mario RPG and Mother has been awaited for over a year. The page also presents a sales-based ranking called This Selling N64 Software Top 10, featuring current best-selling titles such as Super Smash Bros., Mario Party, Harvest Moon 2, Pokemon Stadium, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Banjo-Kazooie, Mario Kart 64, Ganbare Goemon, Dero Dero Dushu Obeke Tenkomori, and Super Snowboard Kids. The commentary also mentions upcoming releases like Pocket Monsters 2, Pokemon Gold and Silver, and Pocket Monsters Snap, Pokemon Snap. Finally, it promotes a special feature in the magazine covering Pokemon Stadium, Mother 3, and SimCity 64, and an interview with HAL Laboratory, the developers. This page features several top 10 and top 30 rankings related to Nintendo games. One section lists the top 30 games bought alongside the N64 console, with Super Mario 64 topping the chart, followed by Mario Kart 64 and The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Another list shows the top 30 games bought with the original Game Boy, where Tetris is number 1, followed by Super Mario Land and Pokemon Red. There's a section highlighting Super Mario 64 as the quintessential N64 game, emphasizing its popularity even after the release of Rumble Pack versions and price drops, stating it was a major contributing factor to hardware sales. Another section celebrates the upcoming 10th anniversary of the Game Boy, noting Tetris as the top game bought with the system, and also mentions the popularity of Pokemon Red, Green, Blue, and Pikachu. The page also features a top 10 ranking of Nintendo Power rewritable games, led by Derby Stallion 98, Super Famicom Wars, and Famicom Detective Club Part 2. Prices for rewriting these games are listed. Finally, there is a top 10 ranking on how readers use the magazine's included stickers, with collecting them at the top, followed by using them when in the mood, and sticking them on postcards and letters. A bar chart visually represents these sticker usage preferences. This page is about GQ Powerful Pro Yaku 6, which was only released in Japan. It's a baseball sports game for the N64. The page is an advert for the game announcing its release date as March 25th, and the price is 7,800 yen. It supports 12 players and controller, and 64 gigabytes pack support. The page highlights the game's success mode and introduces the University Separate Success Guide. It mentions that in this mode, players can choose from 6 universities to attend, but initially only one is available, and players need to clear each university one by one to unlock them all. The page promises to introduce events and special features of each university in detail. The page includes screenshots of the game interface showing gameplay elements and a character from the game. The main text emphasizes the arrival of Ball Spring and the hot excitement and emotion in Power Pro 6. It encourages players to get the game quickly to enjoy the fun of spring break with baseball. This baseball game offers several engaging modes. Dramatic Pennant 99 simulates a realistic season where player abilities dynamically change through training and performance, enhanced by options like Baseball Study Abroad. Scenario Mode presents unique challenges for each of the 12 teams, with preset game situations of varying difficulty. A Home Run Competition Mode provides a quick and fun experience to showcase player power. A Data Conversion feature allows players to import saved data, notably from Power Pro Pocket, expanding player options within the N64 game by transferring players created in other modes. The Success University Student Edition in the baseball game, likely Power Pros, puts you in the role of a university baseball player. You select from 6 universities and experience 3 years of college life, navigating baseball and personal development. Gameplay is divided into baseball, practice, matches, life, part-time jobs, and leisure. Practice builds skills, matches, test your abilities. Life events affect your character. Part-time jobs earn money, and leisure provides breaks. Year 1 is introductory. Year 2 sees you aiming for a regular spot through tournaments and training camps. Year 3 mirrors. Year 2 with increased pressure. Winning the autumn tournament leads to a national championship opportunity. Losing ends the game with a draft. Player abilities grow through both practice and diverse events, including interactions with non-baseball female characters. This page is about the Power Pros 6N64 game, specifically focusing on the powerful University mode, which is available from the start. It describes this mode as being accessible even for beginners, and emphasizes understanding the success mode flow. The page details the game icons, including standard icons like training, life, consultation, ability increase, team ability, personal data, and system. It also mentions special icons related to hospital visits for illness. The page highlights key characters like female managers and rival players. Gameplay tips are provided, including training efficiently, managing player condition, stamina, toughness, motivation, and focusing on desired abilities. It explains how training levels up and the importance of balancing training with rest to avoid injuries. Events are also discussed, mentioning how they can occur during games and impact training levels. The page advises players to experiment with different approaches and find their own playstyle. The next page introduces Neketsu University, a selectable university with incredibly challenging trials ahead. This university focuses on a hot-blooded bloodline theme. The page details the game's icons, including normal icons for actions like training, daily life, consulting, scouting, hospital visits, ability improvement, teammate management, personal data, and system settings. Special icons are also mentioned, particularly related to recruiting team members, which is crucial. There's a section about a troublesome guy who acts as an advisor. The practice menus for both field players and pitchers are shown, listing unique Neketsu-style drills like Neketsu grass mowing drill, along with standard exercises. A key point emphasized is the necessity to recruit members, even if you have to exaggerate, to rebuild the baseball club, which initially has no members. The ultimate aim is to win at least one official match to prevent the club from being disbanded. Players are advised to focus on training and winning that crucial first game within a short time frame. Finally, the page touches upon part-time jobs, bait, needed when funds run low, warning about risky jobs like new medicine tests, and recommending safer, more reliable options for earning money. This page introduces the hot-blooded university mode, which can be selected after clearing hot-blooded high school in Power Pros Kuryudai series. It emphasizes that even in elite baseball schools, academics are important, and you have to study hard. The page details the study icon, which is returning from Power Pros 5, letting players improve their academic performance alongside baseball skills. The normal icons section lists action options like practice, free time, consulting, ability improvement, teammate skill, data, and system. There are also practice sections for fielders and pitchers, listing drills like batting practice, running, pitching, and fielding. The page highlights that practice is fundamental in Powerful University, emphasizing a pattern of training and strengthening. It warns players not to neglect studying, as failing exams is possible, and good grades before tests are crucial to avoid failing. It also mentions that players familiar with Power Pros 5 will find this mode easier to navigate. Finally, the page advises caution with spending in-game money, noting that monthly expenses like rent, utilities, and pension are automatically deducted, suggesting players should manage their finances carefully to avoid running out of funds. The next page features Buckeye University baseball team, described as the biggest, strongest, and worst in Power Pros history, and selectable after clearing Miyazu University. The team's name is Buchigiri, and it's said to be a formidable opponent led by the character Daigujetsu. The page details how to navigate interactions with Daigujetsu, noting he's a figure to be reckoned with in the game's baseball club environment. It mentions that the team and Daigujetsu are part of the House of Terror aspect of the game, suggesting a high difficulty level. The page advises players on strategies to manage Daigujetsu and his team, highlighting gameplay elements like training and potential disruptions such as obstruction work, which can be used when Daigujetsu takes a liking to the player. Manual training is recommended for player development, as the game displays numerical values for abilities, making progress easy to understand and optimize. Screenshots illustrate game menus, character stats, training interfaces, and interactions with Daigujetsu, emphasizing the strategic and challenging gameplay centered around this unique team and character. The next page delves into the world of GameCube Powerful Pro Yaku 5, a baseball game for the N64 that was only released in Japan. This page acts as a preview or guide, focusing on the Akatsuki University setting within the game. It highlights the challenging journey starting from the third-string team, the harsh training regimes, and the goal of breaking into the elite ranks. The page introduces Inogari, a rival character who could become a valuable teammate, and teases a dating simulation element alongside the baseball action within the game. Screenshots showcase various aspects of the gameplay, including training sessions for fielders and pitchers, and in-game baseball scenarios. The page also shows the different icons used in the game, categorized as normal and special icons, and gives a glimpse into the training and team management mechanics. This page is about the Tsurumu University mode in a baseball game, likely from the GameCube Powerful Pro Yaku series. Although the specific title isn't directly stated, this mode is unlocked after clearing Akatsuki University. The focus is on winning matches, as winning improves player abilities. There is no practice in this mode, just continuous matches to test your skills. Your player abilities will develop automatically based on your performance in these matches, managed by the CPU. Page also gives advice on acquiring special abilities, recommending Power Hitter for cleanup hitters, Averager Hitter for all-around hitters, and Catcher Circle for catchers. The page emphasizes focusing on winning each match to grow your team and abilities. This page highlights Power Pro Kun Pocket, a baseball game where you aim to become a professional baseball player starting from Gokusai High School. The page is divided into sections detailing different stages of the game. Part 1, titled Escape from the Evil Dormitory, explains the initial step where you, the protagonist, are thrown into a tough dormitory. You need to gather teammates, but to recruit them from other clubs, you must beat them in minigames. Part 2, Official War, The Weight of One Victory, describes the official matches. Once you have enough team members, your next goal is to win official games. These games are essential for progressing in the game. Practice is crucial to improve your abilities, and teamwork is key to winning. Part 3, Aiming for Professional Baseball, focuses on the ultimate goal, becoming a professional baseball player. The next objective is to compete in Koshien, National High School Baseball Championship. To achieve this, you must defeat your rivals. The page also mentions that, beyond the success mode, you can enjoy CPU battles and communication battles using a communication cable. Initially, only 3 high schoolers are available to choose from. Finally, the page showcases a minigame where you guess which cup the dice is under, emphasizing the fun minigames within Power Pro Kun Pocket. It notes that winning minigames helps you recruit teammates and progress. This page is focused on the game Castlevania 64, known in Japan as Akumajo Dracula Mokushiroku. The page features a large image of the main character and includes game information like the title, developer Konami, release date listed as being on sale from March 11th, price of 7,800 yen, action genre, single-player mode, Rumble Pack support, and backup cartridge compatibility. The text discusses the character Dracula, referencing Vlad Tepes from Wallachia, known as Vlad the Impaler, who is portrayed as a cruel ruler and the model for the vampire Dracula legend. It also mentions the game title translates to Dracula the Devil's Child, and invites the reader to enter Dracula's demonic castle. This page is about the Dracula series, which has been loved across many different consoles. This 13th installment marks the first foray into 3D action for the series. The article suggests that this month will focus on puzzle solving, as players aim to reach the final stage, guiding them through the journey. The page features artwork of Dracula and a female character in a 3D rendered style, likely from the game being discussed, which is likely Castlevania 64. This page is focused on Castlevania 64, showcasing Dracula Battle and Courage. It introduces the game's setting in 19th century Europe, specifically Transylvania, where Dracula has been resurrected after 100 years. The page introduces the 2 main playable characters, Reinhard Schneider from the Belmont clan and a vampire hunter wielding a whip, and Carrie Fernandez, a sorceress from the Belnades family who uses energy orbs and rings. It also highlights several supporting characters and enemies found in the game. Reshnan, described as a devil and salesman in the castle. Vincent, who might be a vampire. Rose, a beautiful vampire who takes care of the white roses in the castle. And Metellus, a young boy captured by Dracula's minion. The page details some gameplay items essential for the adventure. Purification stone to recover from vampirism. Antidote ampoule for poison. Meat for health recovery. Cards to control day and night. Red jewels to recover sub-weapon points, and white jewels to save the game. Sub-weapons, including knives, axes, crosses, and holy water, are also briefly mentioned as being powered by jewels. The screenshots illustrate gameplay with Reinhardt and Carrie battling enemies. The page seems to be an introductory guide or preview, giving a flavor of the game's story, characters, and mechanics. This page is a strategy guide for the Nintendo 64 game, Shadowgate 64, Trials of the Four Towers. Stage 1. Silent Forest starts with game initiation and character selection. The guide advises players to destroy crests with weapons, to open gates and face enemies like the King Skeleton. Tactics for navigating iron gates involving mechanisms are detailed. Warning of small steps, falling, and ledge hazards. The boss battle with the King Skeleton is highlighted, suggesting attacks from behind while it jumps and avoiding frontal assaults. And mentions the King Skeleton also uses a bike. Stage 2 moves to the castle wall. It begins at a safe starting point, directing players to climb the right tower while encountering enemies and advising perseverance. The White Dragon battle strategy involves using the character Linehalt, attacking the base of the machine, and utilizing crouching attacks. The guide explains obtaining a key on the first floor of a tower. After operating a mechanism, climbing the left tower is next, similar to the right tower, with a tip to quickly ascend, ignoring enemies. Reaching the top of the left tower triggers a dragon cutscene. And finally, players are instructed to descend and head towards the separate palace courtyard, reminding them to save their progress. This page is a strategy guide for stages 3 and 4 of the Nintendo 64 game, Castlevania 64, known in Japan as Akumaju Dracula Apocalypse. Stage 3 is set in the mansion annex and details how to defeat Cerberus, obtain a fountain item at midnight, confront vampires on the first floor, meet Rose in the Rose Garden to get key information, get the library key from Vincent in the guest room, and then find the Maze Garden key in the library after defeating a dining room vampire. The guide then covers a Mars event in the Maze Garden, obtaining a Verdigris key to access a hidden basement, and finally, a boss fight against male and female vampires, recommending holy water for significant damage. Stage 4 moves to the underground waterways, and splits into paths for Reinhardt and Carrie. Reinhardt's path involves navigating the poisonous water tunnels, using elevators to reach the second and third levels, and riding gondolas before finally reaching the sun door to enter the castle. Carrie's path through the underground waterway requires defeating 3 lizardmen and activating mechanisms to stop the poisonous water flow at both iron doors and general water flows, before also reaching the sun door to progress into the castle, triggering a scene with Actrice. This page is a strategy guide for Stage 5, the Demon Castle Central area, of the N64 game Akumajo Dracula 64, known internationally as Castlevania 64. The guide provides a step-by-step walkthrough, starting on the first basement floor, B1F. It details objectives like obtaining items such as Mandragora and Magical Nitro, using them to solve puzzles and progress. The walkthrough also highlights encounters with enemies like Behemoth and a boss battle against either Rose or Reinhardt, guiding players through the central area of the Demon Castle. This page is a strategy guide for stages 6 and 7 of the N64 game Castlevania Legacy of Darkness, known in Japan as Castlevania. Stage 6 is titled Duel Tower and Science Tower, and features 2 playable characters, Linehalt and Carrie Fernandez, Carrier Hilandes. For Linehalt's path in the Duel Tower, the guide details encounters in 4 arenas against enemies like Panzer, Wolf, Minotaur, and War Tiger. Carrie's path takes place in the Science Tower and involves finding 2 keys to progress through stages with belt conveyors and machinery. Stage 7 is Execution Tower and Magic Tower, again with paths for both characters, focusing on destroying Crystal A and Crystal B to navigate platforming sections. The guide provides brief instructions and screenshots for each part of these stages. This page details the strategy for Stage 8 and Stage 9 of Castlevania 64. Stage 8, Clock Tower Corridor, features boss battles against Linehalt the Executioner and Carrie Fernandez. Linehalt is described as using small and large sickles, and jump attacks are recommended. Carrie Fernandez, the Magic Tower boss, attacks with crystals and lasers, and dodging and attacking when she stops are key strategies. Stage 9 is Clock Tower, which involves navigating using clock tower keys to open doors and reach the final stage. The guide details obtaining 3 keys and navigating through different sections of the tower, including a section with bone pillars that breathe fire and rotating gears. It also mentions a final shopping opportunity before heading to the rooftop for the final stage. This page introduces the N64 game GameCube Stable, a horse racing stable simulation. In this game, you become a horse trainer and manager, aiming to win races. As a trainer, you'll be responsible for nurturing thoroughbreds acquired at auctions, training them for races, and managing your stable's relationships to ensure success. The game emphasizes the importance of both horse training and human interaction within the stable environment. Screenshots highlight the gameplay, showcasing training facilities, race events, and horse auctions, where players can buy and sell horses. The game was scheduled for release on April 28th, priced at 7,800 yen. This article previews a new N64 game focused on thoroughbred horse racing. The game allows players to experience the excitement of the racetrack by training and managing their own stable. 2 key gameplay elements are highlighted: rigorous training schedules and building relationships with stable staff. Proper training, aided by staff whose performance impacts your horses, is essential, with details to follow in a future issue. Equally important is maintaining good relationships with staff members to ensure their loyalty, as they can leave or be dismissed. The ultimate goal is to win G1 Classic races, requiring dedication and strict training to succeed in the world of horse racing. Players will be entrusted with caring for horses and preparing them for victory. This page is all about the thrill of horse racing on the N64. Focusing on the game Derby Stallion 64. The page emphasizes the dream of achieving GI victories in the game. It highlights raising horses with love and care, showcasing various screenshots of the game, from the paddock and the horse's condition to the excitement of the race itself, and finally reaching the winner's circle. The editorial team of 64Dream also visited Nakayama Racecourse and are sharing their experiences and impressions of the game, expressing their anticipation for players to enjoy this title. This page is all about Pocket GI Stable, a horse racing and breeding simulation game for the Game Boy. It seems to be a companion game to the N64 title, likely Pocket GI Stable on N64, allowing players to raise horses on the Game Boy and then transfer them to the N64 version. The page highlights this connectivity as a key feature, mentioning that horses raised in the Game Boy game can be registered in the N64's original stakes mode via password. The screenshots show various aspects of the Game Boy game, including horse breeding and training minigames. There are sections detailing different training activities like pulling exercise game, chicken race game, running practice game, pasture cutting game, and snow shoveling game. The text suggests these minigames are fun and accessible, even for players unfamiliar with horse racing. The top right corner provides game information, listing the title as Pocket GI Stable, the publisher as Konami, a release date of April 28th, a price of 4,500 yen, the genre as Racing Horse Training Simulation, SLG, and it being a one-player game compatible with the color Game Boy, communication cable, and battery backup. Overall, the page is promoting Pocket GI Stable for Game Boy and its link to the N64 game, emphasizing the fun and engaging horse breeding and training elements within the portable version. This page is a preview for Ogre Battle 3, Person of Lordly Caliber, a simulation RPG for the Nintendo 64. The article mentions that after a period of silence, information about the game has resurfaced, and that development is nearing the final stages, aiming for a spring release in 1999. The text highlights the series' signature detailed world and strategic gameplay, emphasizing the beautiful graphics and cool battle scenes. The game is described as having an unprecedented scale of war, suggesting large and engaging battles. The preview also indicates that this game is Ogre Battle Saga Episode 6, hinting at its place within a larger series storyline. The box on the right gives game details. Title is Ogre Battle 3, Person of Lordly Caliber, publisher is Quest, release is spring of 1999, genre is simulation RPG, and player count is 1. The image shows 4 characters in a fantasy setting, including a wizard, a knight, a swordsman, and a female warrior with a spear. This page focuses on the game Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber. It introduces the main character, Magnus Gallant, who graduated top of his class at Ishika Military Academy and is assigned to the Southern Army of the Palatinus Kingdom. The page highlights the opening scene of the game in a flowchart format, showing key moments like Magnus saying goodbye, the graduation ceremony at military school, meeting Hugo, receiving instructions, heading to a location, arriving in the south, and attending a strategy meeting. The flowchart depicts the initial story progression of the game. The bottom section details the emblems of different factions. The Lourdes Kingdom, represented by a cross with a sword, the Mayu Knight Order or Dragon-Hearted Knight Order, depicted by a dragon emblem, a group associated with Richard Grandel, and the Palatinus Kingdom, symbolized by a plant-like emblem said to represent the blessing of the earth goddess Bartha. This section gives background knowledge about the Ogre Battle world and its factions. The next page delves into gameplay tips for what is presumably Ogre Battle 64, person of lordly caliber. Firstly, it explains the shop system, highlighting that shops are situated at strategic points on battlefields and fields. Players can purchase equipment, consumables, and supplies at these shops by moving a unit to the shop location and selecting the shop icon. Secondly, the page discusses the Witch's Mansion, found at locations marked by suspicious buildings on the map. These mansions offer a service to revive fallen units for a fee. It's described as a place to seek help and revive units that have fallen in battle. Thirdly, it introduces buried treasure, explaining that players can randomly discover items while moving units across seemingly empty locations. This buried treasure can be equipment or consumable items, offering unexpected rewards during gameplay. Lastly, the page covers initial equipment setup in the formation screen. It clarifies that in this game, initial equipment can be bought and equipped directly from the formation screen. The equipment available for purchase is limited to the minimum requirements for the class. This feature allows players to purchase necessary starting equipment and even equipment needed for class changes without needing to visit a shop specifically. This page is all about the basics of unit formation, which is described as a fun and engaging part of the gameplay in a strategy RPG, likely on the N64. It details how to create units from your characters, noting that early units are preset, but you can add members and change classes to form new ones. Formations are key, with front, middle, and rear rows impacting combat effectiveness. For example, fighters attack twice in the front row, but only once from the back. Items are crucial and must be assigned to units to be used in battle for things like healing, and these need to be purchased from shops at the start of the game. Characters can undergo class changes when they reach certain level milestones, allowing you to customize their roles and requiring the acquisition of specific equipment. In the field, you can customize units by swapping members or items and adjust formations on the fly if needed. This unit customization and strategic formation are highlighted as core elements for success in the game. The screenshots suggest a game with grid-based movement and menu-driven unit management, typical of strategy RPGs. While not explicitly named, the features described strongly resemble those found in Ogre Battle 64, person of lordly caliber. This page showcases dragon language magic from the game Tactics Ogre. It details 4 powerful spells: Tempest, Annihilation, Meteor Strike, and White Mute. Tempest is described as a spell with the meaning of storm rain, inflicting fatal damage to all enemies with a powerful thunderstorm. Annihilation is presented as drawing earth energy from deep underground to create burning rain that fiercely burns and pierces enemies. Meteor Strike conjures numerous meteorites from the sky, causing massive damage upon impact. Lastly, White Mute freezes moisture in the air, inflicting cold damage. Even powerful monsters with thick fur cannot withstand its power. The page uses screenshots to illustrate each spell's effect in gameplay. This text outlines game classes, starting with the Vampire, a unique, undead class that steals life force at night and defends in a coffin during the day. It then introduces new classes, including Sphinx, Gryphon, Epicus, Hellhound, Kerberos, Sorceress, and Siren, each with distinct traits and magical abilities suited for different combat roles. These classes range from frontline attackers to rearguard magic users, with diverse special attacks and magical specialties. This page is a preview for the N64 game Neon Genesis Evangelion. It highlights it as a mission-clear action game developed by Bandai and Gainax, scheduled for release in May 1999, priced at 8,800 yen, and using 256 megabytes of storage. It's a single-player game compatible with the Vibration Pack. The preview emphasizes the game's roots in the original anime, focusing on the experience of piloting an EVA, with gameplay elements like sync ratios and communication with Misato during battles. It mentions story mode, battle mode, and option mode as playable sections, and notes there's a demo version available that faithfully recreates scenes from the anime. The article suggests players will really feel like they are controlling an EVA within the game. This page is about the Nintendo 64 game Neon Genesis Evangelion. It is a preview showcasing 2 missions from the game. Mission 1 is titled Angel Attack, Sakiel Appears. It recreates the first episode of the anime, where the angel Sakiel attacks. Players control Evangelion Unit 01 and must intercept Sakiel, which is heading towards NERV headquarters. The screenshots show gameplay of the battle against Sakiel, emphasizing the AT field and the breaking of Sakiel's AT field by Unit 01. Mission 2 is called Unheard Phone Call, Shamshell Appears. This mission, set 3 weeks after defeating Sakiel, involves the 4th angel, Shamshell, appearing in 3rd Neo Tokyo. Shamshell attacks Unit 01 with light whips. The description highlights using the progressive knife to defeat Shamshell after it falls over, showcasing a dramatic moment from the game. The page also mentions the game emphasizes faithful recreation of the original anime story and elements. It points out details like the progressive knife being stored on Unit 01's shoulder. This page is focused on Mission 3 of a Neon Genesis Evangelion game, subtitled Decisive Battle, 3rd New Tokyo City, and focusing on the 5th angel, Ramiel. The mission briefing details that unlike previous missions, close combat is impossible against Ramiel, requiring a long-range sniping strategy. The game will feature the Yashima Operation, a famous scenario from the anime, involving the use of a positron rifle. Rei Ayanami, piloting Evangelion Unit 00, will support the player controlling Unit 01 by providing shield defense. The page also announces a Card Present Second Bullet campaign, following on from a previous giveaway in December 98. 50 winners will receive a special Cardos card from the Tokyo Game Show Spring, which can be combined with previous cards and game packaging cards to complete a set. To apply, readers must send a postcard with their details to the address provided. The next page showcases Mission 4 from the Neon Genesis Evangelion N64 game, titled Jet Alone Control Impossible. This mission scenario tasks you with piloting Unit 01 to prevent the out-of-control jet alone from causing a meltdown in a populated area. Gameplay screenshots illustrate Misato entering jet alone and Unit 01 attempting to intercept it. There is also an illustration completion mechanism section, displaying fan-submitted artwork of Evangelion characters like Asuka and Rei. A Japan's Most Irresponsible EVA Terminology Collection 2 segment humorously defines terms related to Evangelion, including plug suit, pen, ibichu beer, and ibukima. Lastly, a personal story section titled Me and Eva, or rather, Misato-san, narrates a fan's experience with watching Evangelion and playing games, expressing appreciation for Misato and mentioning the game Cybernetics Guardian. The next page is a preview of the 3D robot action game Last Legion UX for the Nintendo 64. This game features intense robot battles, and the page introduces stages 1 to 3, along with 6 playable robots. Stage 1, Deer Point, is set in a natural area with mountains and forests, where the Light Raid Army has a base. Stage 2, Central Brain, is the main enemy base, a temporal warp facility of Union IV, described as a nighttime stage with large buildings. Stage 3, Waterfall, is set 40 million years in the past, nicknamed Paradise Ruin, with waterfalls and rivers flowing through canyons. Screenshots of gameplay are shown for each stage, and descriptions of the robots Globus, Newbie, and Bebion are also featured. Legion 6 features 6 playable mecha, each fueled by a power stone derived from fire, water, wind, or earth. Bevion, with the fire-based Blaze, uses a 3-way shot. Galebane, powered by the earth-based Spider, focuses on power recovery. Ryavats, with the hardened Power Stone, Earth, boasts high defense and attacks with hard spheres. Norfreet, using the fire-based Omnibus, fires beams with time-delayed multi-directional attacks. Vaishtiga, utilizing the Plasma Power Stone, Wind, conceals itself with air manipulation. Finally, Junkus, with the Blade Power Stone, Wind, attacks with a Kamaitachi. This mecha includes a short description, such as Bevion's balanced design, Ryavahats's close combat focus, and Junkus's high mobility. This page previews the game Wipeout 64, highlighting the first 3 stages of the game as, or, strategy guide. The article mentions that the game has 4 difficulty levels, from beginner to super expert. It explains that while beginner levels are easy, the super expert class becomes incredibly fast, making even simple courses challenging if you don't plan your racing line and risk crashing into walls. The goal is to clear the super expert class by conquering the first 3 stages. The page shows screenshots of gameplay on the Clyde's Bridge stage, displaying in-game elements like lap times, positions, and track layouts. Text within image boxes offers gameplay tips, such as focusing on taking the inside line on corners and maintaining speed. It also mentions that on the ice or ice mountain area layout, corners are simple curves, and the tunnel section is visually appealing. The article emphasizes that as you reach the super expert class, races become harder, needing you to brake before corners and utilize the side fences near the goal. This page previews Stage 2 QORONIV and Stage 3 SOKANA from the futuristic racing game Wipeout 64. QORONIV is described as a course with long slopes and humps like ancient ruins, with relatively simple corners designed for practicing acceleration and deceleration. SOKANA is a more challenging volcanic stage with sharp cliffs, requiring the use of air brakes and drifting techniques for cornering. The page includes in-game screenshots from both stages, showing gameplay, lap times, and player position. This page is a preview for the N64 game King of Pro Baseball 2. It highlights the game's release on March 19th and encourages players to get excited for baseball season with the game. The page details features like team selection, where players can choose from 40 players with data reflecting the '98 season. It suggests focusing on player abilities and condition when picking team members, even bench players, for strategic gameplay. The screenshots showcase in-game action, player stats, and menu screens, demonstrating team management and gameplay. There are tips on using player condition to your advantage and in-game elements like strikeout minigames. The page also mentions features like multiplayer for up to 4 players and controller pack support for vibration. This page is focused on tips and tricks for success in a baseball game, specifically GameCube Powerful Pro Yaku 5. It details various gameplay strategies under the heading Winning Match Operation. Sections include strong swing and home run aim, advises using A button presses to aim for powerful hits and home runs, running power-up, recommends using L, R, and Z buttons to boost running speed and steal bases effectively, dead ball, suggests intentionally hitting batters with pitches, described as a sneaky tactic, but warns about potential negative consequences. Run-up explains how to increase running speed by pressing the L and R buttons rapidly. Shift change details how to adjust infield and outfield shifts during defense using the C buttons to counter the batter's tendencies. The page also features a section about team formation and how to make use of it, discussing team editing in GameCube Powerful Pro Yaku 2 and how it carries over to the '98 season data. It mentions that new foreign players and transferred players aren't reflected in the initial data, but players can edit data in the Create mode. The article highlights the fun of creating custom teams and enjoying matches that mirror real pro baseball. Finally, there's a section on Enjoying Farm Games 2, explaining how to utilize 2 ND string players in matches, suggesting it's an enjoyable way to play with friends and discover hidden talents in less-known players. It also mentions checking professional baseball player directories to find suitable 2 ND string players. This page introduces One Guy Monsters, a monster breeding simulation game for the N64, exclusively released in Japan. The game is set in the Brighton continent, where humans and monsters coexist. The story revolves around the player character becoming a monster breeder. Gameplay involves training monsters and battling them in arenas. The screenshots show in-game scenes, menus, and characters, including the protagonist, his sister Clara, and their grandfather, who seems to guide the player. The page highlights the beginning of the adventure where the player, at 10 years old, dreams of a mysterious crystal and starts their journey to become a monster breeder. It emphasizes the training aspect of monsters to help people and live alongside them. This page highlights the monster evolution and raising aspects of the game Monster Rancher, Monster Farmed. It introduces the core gameplay loop centered around monster growth through evolution. The page explains that monsters hatch from eggs and evolve by shedding skin, with the type of food given significantly impacting their evolution path, emphasizing player choice. It promotes the idea of discovering various monster types through adventure. The page then details 3 key activities for raising monsters. Errands, where monsters are sent to town to complete tasks for rewards, with over 50 types of errands available. Food gathering, where monsters venture out to collect food, with riskier areas yielding better food to strengthen them. And adventure, where monsters explore outside town to find items and even new monster eggs. Breeding adult monsters is also mentioned as a way to obtain new and unique monsters. This page serves as an introduction to the monster raising mechanics in Monster Rancher. Shadowgate 64, a fantasy adventure game for the Nintendo 64, is previewed, highlighting its delayed release. The game begins with the player as a prisoner in Shadowgate Castle, captured by the wizard Igar. The primary objective is escape from the prison cell. Screenshots introduce Celis, Igar's sister, and a fortune teller, who may offer a chance for escape. The preview showcases the dark prison, puzzles involving floor tiles and an iron lid, and the Awakening Warlock Lord. Gameplay involves interacting with characters, like Igar, and using found items, such as bones, to solve puzzles and progress. The game is published by Kemco, with a tentative July 1999 release date, and a price of 6,980 yen. It's an adventure game designed for a single player. This page is a special seal sheet, Volume 32, featuring stickers for Power Pro 6 and Pokémon Stadium 2. The sheet includes stickers of Pokémon that appear in the Fancy Cup Pokémon League Special Tournament. Below this are controller pack stickers and cassette tape stickers to use. The games highlighted at the bottom are Pokémon Snap, Pocket Monsters Snap, Powerful Pro Baseball 6, GQ Powerful Pro Yaku 6, The Game of Life 64, Jinsei Game 64, Super Bowling, One Guy Monster, and Professional Baseball King 2, Pro Yaku King 2. The next page appears to be a contents page, or section divider, indicated by the vertical Japanese text markers running along the right side of the page. These markers likely denote different sections or categories within the 64Dream magazine. This page of 64Dream magazine features reader contributions. From Letters, opens with humorous UFO sighting anecdotes from 1999, including editor Massey's own experience. The Game Contradictions Felt While Playing section explores the blurring of reality in games, with readers discussing the tangible memories formed within games like Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. The editorial staff then answers reader questions. One asks about the team's gaming habits, revealing a shared love for various consoles and discussions, though limited co-op play. Another reader queries the future of the N64, receiving an optimistic outlook based on upcoming software releases. The page concludes with comic strips featuring reader comments and the magazine's contact information for submissions. Rokudori Entertainment's column features diverse perspectives on gaming. Mashi discusses the commercial success of games like Pokémon, now leading the entertainment industry, and touches upon the financial losses in the portable game market. Keishosa explores emotional connections across gaming platforms, hoping for a future where hardware doesn't divide players. Mochio humorously reflects on being engrossed in PlayStation dating sims and the otaku culture surrounding games. Fukami's Q&A segment addresses reader concerns, offering advice on N64 games and desired features for portable consoles, while also sharing personal anecdotes about classic portable gaming experiences, highlighting the Game Boy Color and expressing a fondness for 2D characters. This page features the Chizuru's Analog Chat column, number 18, discussing the theme of not being swayed by console sales figures and focusing on game quality instead. The writer observes people frequently replacing their PlayStations due to malfunctions, questioning the lifespan of modern consoles compared to older systems. They express concern about users being influenced by mass media and sales numbers, emphasizing the importance of choosing games based on personal preference rather than hype. They cite Nintendo's philosophy of quality products attracting consumers and mention the game Zelda in this context. The writer, working for 64 Daikuki magazine, also discusses film critic Nagaharu Yodogawa's approach of finding positive aspects even in poorly reviewed films, applying this to game reviewing, focusing on good parts rather than just scores, and questions if initial sales numbers influence consumer choices. There's a Q&A section addressing the adoption criteria for reader submissions, clarifying it's strictly first come, first served. A club activity report covers the horse racing club's visit to Nakayama Racecourse. Additionally, the page includes this month's portrait, featuring a drawing of Queen of 64Dream, Chizuru-san, and this month's alcohol, showcasing Corona Extra beer. Finally, there is a small section titled This Month's Recommendation, and a call for postcard submissions from readers. This page features a Link objection section, which appears to be a reader debate about whether Link is a bad guy or not. The discussion includes various reader opinions, some defending Link as a hero who is forced to act for peace, and others pointing out mischievous actions like breaking pots and stealing rupees as evidence against him. The debate is framed around player perspectives in the Zelda games, and if Link's actions are justifiable. The conclusion section seems to lean towards defending Link, stating that the Penguin team wins the debate based on the arguments presented. There's also a More and More Zelda Talk corner, which seems to be another segment with reader submissions, this one focusing on fan interpretations and jokes around Zelda Husband, and fan art submissions. The page showcases reader engagement and discussions around the Zelda series, highlighting different perspectives on the protagonist, Link. This page features ocarina sheet music for various songs, presented under the title, "This month's ocarina scores are coming closer." The page includes musical scores for 6 songs: Space Battleship Yamato, Like the Flow of the River, Fire Emblem theme, Disk System Zelda opening, likely referring to the original Legend of Zelda theme from the Famicom Disk System, from Wonder Project J2, which is music from the N64 game Wonder Project J2, Koruro to Makano Boy, and Itoshi no Eli. Below the music sections, there are sections about reader submissions. One part highlights Zelda-themed postcards received from readers, mentioning characters and elements related to the Legend of Zelda series, including Master of the Skulltula House, Ocarina of Time, and characters like Link and Nabooru. Another section states they are still accepting postcards and includes reader feedback and a conversation regarding Mr. Zerukun, and reader opinions about the magazine and Zelda content, along with address information for submissions. This page is all about the game Gun Battle Corps Advanced Troop Report, which seems to be a hot title. There's a report summarizing the game, stating it's an amazing title and practically unbeatable. The page then talks about a game called Battle Tanks, describing it as American software, where you control a tank and defeat enemies or complete missions. With 4-player battles available, you can hide behind buildings, pick up items, and destroy opponents. It's noted as a simple, exhilarating action game, available in America from 3DO. The final section discusses the final operation, mentioning E3 in Los Angeles as a huge game show in America. They anticipate gathering great information there. They also mention that from next month, there will be a new Zel Corner in the magazine, indicating a recurring feature related to this game or series. There is also a note at the bottom, with an address for readers to send in feedback and questions related to games. The next page introduces planned magazine sections that were ultimately scrapped. The first section, Xylo Gorilla, was intended to be a corner for collecting humorous content. The first installment focusing on email addresses starting with @Xylopatchy was planned as a corner for highlighting mundane but funny occurrences, like everyday mishaps. Bulge Academy was envisioned as a game-based etiquette classroom section, featuring scenarios like accidentally pressing the reset button. Finally, Xylo Riot Dance was meant to be a section showcasing bizarre and chaotic content, described as outrageous like a rampaging dance. The page then moves on to reader-submitted mysteries, showcasing readers' puzzles and riddles. One mystery involves a screenshot from Super Mario 64 with Bowser and a chance speech bubble, and a question about the best way to defeat him. Another mystery shows a Game Boy with a puzzle related to it. There is also a mystery featuring a screenshot from GoldenEye 007 with a question about strategy in the game. Lastly, the page teases a new corner coming next month, asking, what will it be? The options listed are Fire Emblem, Power Pro 6, Ogre 3, Pokemon, Xylomon, Note, and Ohomememon, Note. An image of a truck is also shown in this section. The page concludes by asking readers to send in postcards for their favorite corner and provides an address for submissions. This page is a manga comic strip titled Dream Drunker, featuring Mario and Bowser. The comic starts with Bowser asking Mario if he has found any Pokemon. Bowser gets annoyed when Mario takes a photo of him, calling him a fake. Mario explains he's saving film and wants to move on. Bowser gets angry again and orders Mario to take more pictures of him, and then orders a killer to stop Mario. Eventually, Bowser seems to have fallen into a hole. At the end, Bowser challenges Mario to a Pokemon battle. The text at the top right mentions Pokemon joining next month, and asks to please do it properly. The bottom text mentions DD from next month's issue. This page is an introductory page for the 1999 Nintendo Spring and Summer Pokemon Collection, a special feature in the magazine. It announces the arrival of new Pokemon titles for the season, highlighting the long-awaited Pokemon craze of spring 1999. The page specifically mentions the appearance of Pokemon Gold and Silver and Pokemon Stadium 2. The page is visually dominated by a large silhouette of Umbreon. It's a special spring feature dedicated to Pokemon, promising fun and excitement for readers and their Pokemon. This page is announcing the upcoming release of Pokemon Gold and Silver for Game Boy and Game Boy Color. It highlights that this is the latest information on the highly anticipated new Pokemon games. The page introduces the main male character and the rival character, showcasing artwork and in-game screenshots. Screenshots show battles with Pokemon like Marill, Blastoise, Butterfree, and Donphan. The page also provides game details, such as the title being Pokemon Gold and Silver, the publisher is Nintendo, the planned release month is June, the price is yet to be determined, the genre is RPG, and it is compatible with Game Boy Color and communication cables. This page is about Pokemon Pinball, a game for the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. It's described as a vibrant and fun pinball game where you aim for a high score and collect Pokemon. The game features two different pinball tables, red and blue, offering varied Pokemon encounters. The page explains two game modes: Get Mode, where you capture Pokemon by hitting them with the ball, and Evolution Mode, where you evolve captured Pokemon. The objective is to complete the Pokemon Pokédex within the game. Screenshots show gameplay on both the red and blue tables, and bonus stages featuring Diglett and Seal. The page highlights that collecting Pokemon and evolving them earns Monster Ball marks, and accumulating 3 leads to bonus stages for high scores. This page is dedicated to the upcoming release of Pokemon Stadium 2. The page highlights that all 151 Pokemon from the original games can be used in battles. It shows screenshots of 3D Pokemon battles and mentions features like 4-player 2 vs 2 tag battles and mini-games that can be played even without the Game Boy games. It also mentions that you can battle using your own trained Pokemon and trainers from the Game Boy games, and easily trade Pokemon between 2 cartridges. The page also teases hidden events in various game modes if you win. The game is published by Nintendo and was scheduled for release in late April as a fighting and picture book genre game, supporting 1 to 4 players and using the 64 GB pack. The text emphasizes the excitement and anticipation for this sequel, suggesting it will be a major hit. This page is focused on the Stadium mode in Pokemon Stadium 2. It highlights that even without a battle-ready Pokemon cartridge, you can still enjoy battles against CM or MAN using rental Pokemon. It mentions that this mode is perfect for those who just want to battle quickly, as you don't need to spend time thinking about Pokemon types and assembling a team. The page details that in Stadium mode, you can experience 6 different modes. These are listed as Nintendo Cup 99, Nintendo Cup 98, and Nintendo Cup 97, which use the rules from past Pokemon tournaments. There is also the Ultra Cup, where all 151 Pokemon can be used with no level restrictions. Additionally, the Yellow Cup and Fancy Cup use rules based on the Pokemon Pikachu version of the game. It's mentioned that in each cup, you are aiming for a win streak against the COM, with 99 and Ultra Cups allowing up to 32 consecutive wins, and other modes allowing 8. The page also features screenshots of battles and showcases Pokemon such as Arbok, Coughing, Electrode, and Krabby. This page, titled Chibico Club, is all about the fun minigames featured in Pokemon Stadium 2. It highlights that these are enjoyable minigames using Pokemon and can be played with up to 4 players, even if you don't own the Game Boy Pokemon cartridges. The page showcases 9 different minigames with screenshots. Rattata Run, where Rattata race over obstacles. Harden Battle, featuring Metapod and Kakuna in a hardening competition. Voltorb's Electric Race, where Voltorb and Electrode compete with electric shocks. Magikarp Splash to Pond, involving Magikarp splashing into Pokeballs. Clefairy's Metronome Classroom, showing Clefairy in a classroom setting using Metronome. Drowsy's Hypnosis Battle, featuring Drowsy and Hypno using Hypnosis. Eakin's Ring Toss. Sandshrew's Well Digging Race. And finally, Lickitung Spinning Sushi, where Lickitung eats sushi on a rotating tape. At the bottom of the page are images of the Pokemon Exeggcute, Shelder, Ditto, and Omanilite. This page is about the game Pokemon Stadium 2. It details several game modes available in the game. First up is Free Battle, a mode where up to 4 players can battle. The rules are based on stadium settings, and there are 7 stadium types available. 4-player battles become 2 vs 2 tag team matches for cooperative play. Next is Gym Trainer Battle, where you can battle against gym leaders. The difficulty of this mode adjusts to match the highest level of your Pokemon, making it quite challenging. Victory Palace is a mode that showcases the Pokemon you used when winning various cups. It's a way to display your accomplishments to others. GB Building Mode allows you to play Game Boy Pokemon games on your N64 by using Game Boy cartridges. Finally, Event Mode is a customizable mode for Pokemon battles. You can adjust various settings, including battle time from 5 to 90 minutes, and move input time from 10 to 90 seconds. If you run out of time to choose a move, the top move will be automatically selected, encouraging quick decision-making during battles. At the bottom of the page, there are images of the Pokemon Dratini, Kabuto, Eevee, and Paris. This page introduces newly convenient features for playing Pokemon on the Nintendo 64. The first big feature is Pokemon trading between two Game Boy cartridges, which can now be done directly by connecting them to the Nintendo 64 controllers. The page also highlights 2 vs 2 tag battles, explaining that up to 4 players can now battle together. Screenshots show the Pokemon trading process and a battle scene. A list of Pokemon including Spearow, Pidgey, Pidgeotto, Pidgeot, Rattata, and Raticate is shown, along with a player's stat screen. At the bottom, you can see images of the Pokemon Diglett, Growlithe, Meowth, and Psyduck. This page is all about how to enhance your Pokemon experience on the N64 using the Game Boy Transfer Pack. This page is showcasing Pokemon Stadium 2 and is teasing a mystery stage that will be revealed in the next issue of the magazine. The page features screenshots of battles from this stage with Pokemon such as Golbat, Koffing, and Morek. It mentions that this stage is unlike anything seen before and hints at more information to come. Additionally, the page includes pictures of various Pokemon like Poliwhirl, Cubone, Magikarp, and Clefairy, emphasizing the expressions and graphics in the game. It also shows a battle screenshot featuring Tentacruel and Articuno. This page showcases the exciting battle scenes from the Nintendo 64 game, Pokemon Stadium 2. It emphasizes that all 151 Pokemon are usable in this installment, allowing for diverse and thrilling battles. The page features screenshots of battles with Pokemon like Wigglytuff facing Nidoking, and other battles featuring Venomoth and Parasect. It also highlights various Pokemon characters, such as Oddish, Vulpix, Jigglypuff, and Squirtle who are ready for action in the game. The text points out that players can enjoy intense Pokemon battles in this game, showcasing the exciting gameplay. This page is about Pokemon Stadium 2, showcasing battles and various Pokemon. It highlights the feature of tag battles for 2 players. The page shows screenshots of battles with Pokemon like Magnemite battling Dugong, and Vileplume facing an unseen opponent. Other Pokemon featured on the page include Gengar, Golbat, Parasect, Arbok, Butterfree, Grimer, Golem, Bulbasaur, Charmander, Caterpie, and Bellsprout, suggesting a wide range of Pokemon are available in the game. The text implies that the game will allow players to enjoy Pokemon battles and raise their favorite Pokemon. It also hints at new Pokemon introductions in the future, possibly referring to new generations of Pokemon being included in Pokemon Stadium 2. This page is about Pokemon Snap on the Nintendo 64. It serves as an introductory guide on how to play the game, focusing on taking photos of Pokemon. The page details the camera controls, explaining how to use the 3D stick to look around and find Pokemon, the Z trigger to ready the camera, and the A button to take a photo. It also highlights using the C button unit for quick glances left, right, forward, and backward, and explains the use of items such as Pokemon Food, Pester Balls, and the Pokemon Flute controlled by the A, B, and D-pad buttons respectively. The guide encourages players to go and take lots of fun photos and mentions the starting course is the beach area. This page is dedicated to the beach course in Pokemon Snap. It introduces the course as being full of white sand and gentle waves, perfect for snapping Pokemon. The page details several encounters players can have on the beach course. Firstly, it mentions Pidgey appearing at the start of the course, encouraging players to photograph it. Next, Pikachu is highlighted as appearing suddenly, described as lucky for players to encounter and photograph. The text mentions Pikachu's anim-like voice being cute. Then, Meowth is introduced, saying that upon hearing its cry, players will see Meowth's appearance. It points out that Meowth is energetic and appears in various places, advising players not to miss it. Following this, Snorlax is mentioned, with the text playfully questioning if players recognize this Pokemon. It seems Snorlax is facing away, and the page hints at figuring out how to get its attention. Lastly, the page talks about capturing E-poses, which means good poses for photos. It explains that Professor Oak will evaluate photos based on pose and size to award points. The aim is to find the best position to photograph Pokemon. Finally, the page mentions that unexpected Pokemon can be found in surprising locations. Using the Pester Ball is suggested to lure Pokemon out and discover fun surprises, hinting at Magikarp in the water. The next page focuses on a stage called Tunnel in what appears to be a Pokemon game, highlighting the appearance of various electric Sinnoh-type Pokemon. The tunnel is described as a bit dark and scary, but filled with enjoyable Pokemon, particularly Voltorb, whose explosions are a must-see. The page then details several encounters within this stage through screenshots and captions. First, it showcases a sudden Voltorb explosion, emphasized as surprising but fun. Then, it questions what Electabuzz is looking at, hinting at something interesting to discover by doing something specific. Following this, Pikachu and Diglett are pictured together, posing for a photo opportunity. When the camera is pointed at Pikachu in another scene, it mysteriously shines, obscuring its form and suggesting it might be Magnemite. A giant egg-like object is also featured as a mysterious discovery within the stage, prompting the question of what to do with it. Finally, Magikarp makes yet another appearance, seemingly found in various watery locations within the stage, suggesting players should look for it near water sources. The overall tone suggests a playful and exploratory experience within this Pokemon game stage. The game being previewed seems to be Pokemon Snap. This page of the magazine is a preview for the Volcano stage in Pokemon Snap, calling it a sacred place for fire Pokemon. It details the course as having flowing lava and featuring many fire-type Pokemon. The first Pokemon highlighted is Rapidash, galloping through volcanic smoke, suggested to be captured in a memorable photo. Next is Vulpix, with many appearing for photo opportunities and cute poses. Charmander also appears in large numbers and seems to enjoy Pokemon food. Magmar and Charmander are shown together, possibly hinting at evolution related to interaction. The legendary fire Pokemon Moltres also makes an appearance, its brave figure being a must-photograph moment. The page advises players to explore different viewpoints to spot various Pokemon, and mentions Charizard as one to especially watch out for, as Pokemon appear quickly throughout the stage. This page is an advertisement for a Pokemon Snap sticker printing service at Lawson convenience stores across Japan. Players who took photos in the N64 game Pokemon Snap could get their in-game photos printed as sticker sheets. The service was available from March 23rd. To use the service, players needed to save the photos they wanted to print in the album section of their Pokemon Snap game cartridge. Then, they had to take their cartridge to a Lawson store. The service cost 300 yen per print sheet, and it took about 3 days for the stickers to be ready. The page encourages players to consider new ways to play with these printed stickers and shares a contact phone number for inquiries about the Pokemon Snap print service. The service period was from March 10th to May 10th of Heisei 11 year, 1999. The Desk Immortals N64 Classroom column details the 64DD Nintendo 64's disk drive peripheral. The 64DD, using 64 megabytes dynamic data disks, 6 times the Zelda cartridge size, offered read and write capabilities, potentially lowering game production costs and enabling in-game data saving. Games like Mario Artist and Doshin the Giant were planned to utilize features such as customizable characters and online content, like downloadable dungeon data. The article suggests the 64DD could significantly enhance the N64, similar to the Super Nintendo's FX chip, opening the door to more advanced games. The piece ends by questioning if the 64DD was released too late. This article, this month, let's talk about the dog situation in America, reflects on the author's experiences navigating American pet culture. The author observes the widespread presence of dogs, from adoption programs and dog parks to legal requirements like spaying/neutering and vaccinations, often costing around $70 annually. Encounters with dogs like Momo-chan sparked a desire for a pet and highlighted the popularity of both common and surprising names, even Japanese ones. The article also notes the emphasis on dog education, contrasting it with other aspects of American life like 24-hour court TV. The author ends by mentioning their busy schedule, including household chores, video games, and congratulating a colleague on the birth of their child. The article is accompanied by photos of a puppy and a Pokemon event. This page from 64Dream magazine features player impressions of several N64 titles. There's a glowing review of Super Smash Bros. Highlighting its chaotic fun for everyone, especially in multiplayer, with 4 controllers. The reviewer mentions initial hype slightly fading as kids now ask for Mario 64, but still praises it as a top party game. Another section focuses on Harvest Moon 2, where the player initially had low expectations but was pleasantly surprised. They draw parallels to Zelda, noting similarities in gameplay loops, world interaction like lifting objects and cutting grass, and even events. The reviewer recommends it to those who enjoyed Zelda and are seeking a new game. They highlight the engaging farm simulation and village interactions. Finally, there is a section dedicated to SD Hiryu no Ken, Legend of the Flying Dragon Fist, sharing fan impressions. The reviewer recalls the popularity of the original Famicom games, and notes this N64 version is more accessible, emphasizing skill over complicated controls, making it easier to pick up and play. The N64 forum section features reader submissions. The first recounts a Christmas 1996 N64 purchase, initial disappointment due to a lack of games, and eventual satisfaction, particularly with Zelda: Ocarina of Time. The second submission describes a captivating experience with The Legend of Zelda, highlighting its beauty and the novelty of character voices, praising its pushing of the N64's limits. The final section contains a critique of Nintendo's sales strategy, arguing for a focus on high-quality games like F-Zero X, and expressing concern over short game demos, fearing they don't do justice to games such as Zelda. This webpage focuses on reader discussions about N64 games, highlighting the enduring appeal of Zelda, particularly Zelda 64. One submission details a reader's initial excitement for Pokemon Snap, fueled by photography and data-saving interests, which was dampened by magazine coverage. The page also notes the increasing availability of N64 games, leading to more widespread ownership and discussions among children and adults, specifically about Zelda. A reader questionnaire reveals further insights. Topics discussed include Pokemon Snap's gameplay, the quality of game articles in magazines, and requests for coverage of specific games. Readers also inquired about the magazine's price, desired industry talk, improved content creation, and Pokemon Center expansion. This page showcases the results of the Wet Tetris High Score Contest, announcing winners in upper, middle, and beginner divisions, as well as a special Dr. Lamendo prize. The contest had high score requirements to enter, and the prizes included game consoles and software. The page also features a section titled, "This Month I'm Buying This," recommending 5 games for purchase in April: Power Pro 6, Power Pro Kun Pocket, Pokemon Pinball, Picross NP Volume 1, and Pokemon Snap. Screenshots of Wet Tetris, Pokemon Pinball, and Picross NP Volume 1 are shown. Additionally, there's a small section with Shopping Street Chairman's words, mentioning the game Hamster Paradise. This page showcases the Akihabara price survey for Nintendo 64 games. It details the findings of the price investigation team from March 9th, noting that while many stores are stocked, prices are generally stable with few notable software price drops. The Wonder Project J2 game is mentioned as recently increasing in price in some stores. The survey suggests that while the controller pack and similar items are still good value, those without an N64 should consider getting one. The page lists hardware prices for various consoles, including the Nintendo 64 itself, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Pocket, Super Famicom Jr., AV Famicom, Dreamcast, Sega Saturn, PlayStation, and WonderSwan. The majority of the page is dedicated to a software price list, featuring a wide range of N64 titles, each with a price, Akihabara price, and publisher. Games listed include titles like Wave Race 64, Pilotwings 64, F-Zero X, Mario Kart 64, Super Mario 64, Star Fox 64, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and many more Japan-exclusive titles, like Ganbare Goemon series, J-League soccer games, and various puzzle and party games. The list offers a snapshot of game prices in Akihabara at the time of the survey. This page presents a catalog-style listing of Super Famicom games available for the Nintendo Power Cartridge Rewrite service. The list is organized in columns detailing each game's genre, Japanese title, memory capacity, SRAM, manufacturer, and price in Japanese yen. It appears to be a price list for renting or rewriting Super Famicom game cartridges, but does not feature any screenshots, character details, or specific game reviews. This page features a humorous promotional image for interviews with the developers of Pokemon Snap and Super Smash Bros. From HAL Laboratory. The large text at the top is a playful title likely related to HAL Laboratory Brothers' Great Laugh. The page announces a double interview with the developers of both games, highlighting their playful nature alongside their serious dedication to game creation. The image showcases people dressed up as iconic Nintendo characters like Mario, Pikachu, Donkey Kong, Samus, Link, Ness, Yoshi, and Kirby, creating a fun and engaging visual to promote the interviews. The next page features an interview titled HAL Developer Interview 1. Pokémon Snap is the game that will come out. This interview focuses on the development of Pokémon Snap, a game where you take photos of Pokémon. The interview includes insights from key members of the development team: Satoru Iwata, the producer, Yuichi Yamamoto, the director, and Shigezo Kawase, the designer. Benimaru Ito, the 64 Modeling Center director, is also featured as a special guest. The interview discusses the project's beginnings in August 1995, the recruitment process, and the formation of the development team. They mention using a recruitment advertisement with the phrase, "Why don't you hit monsters in N64?" They also describe the interview process, meeting at the Imperial Hotel, and the initial team size of 4 people, which eventually grew to 11 for the final project start on August 20th. The interview also touches upon the team name, Jack and Beans, and its logo. The next page is an interview with the development staff of Pokémon Snap. They discuss how the project started as an idea to use the camera and explore different game concepts. The team, from Jack and Nintendo, felt they had a good opportunity to create something new with the N64 brand. They experimented with around 3 prototypes, one of which was a camera game, which became the basis for Pokémon Snap. The initial idea was to use the 64DD, but they faced challenges in determining when the 64DD would be released and its compatibility with Pokémon merchandise. They decided to develop the software to be compatible with both the 64DD and cartridge format. The interview highlights how the idea of taking photos and printing stickers resonated with people, particularly after showcasing it at Space World 97, where the Snap stage was very popular. They mention using a 64 megabytes pack to transfer images to the PokéCam and then print them on a pocket printer as part of their experiments. They even created custom stickers using a printer at HAL Laboratory with the help of Mr. Tanimura. The development period was short, around 2 months, to create the printing system. They aimed to launch it alongside the Pokémon movie in '98. But it was slightly delayed. The team emphasizes the collaborative effort and support from many people in making Pokémon Snap a reality, especially the cooperation with Lawson convenience stores and Dai Nippon Printing for the national rollout of services. This page features an article titled Large Explosive Laughter, HAL Research Brothers, which seems to be an interview with developers or people involved in game creation, particularly for the N64. The interview includes speakers named Ashura, Iwata, Yamamoto, and Kawahara. They discuss various aspects of game development, including planning, character design, and marketing ideas. There's a screenshot from a game showing a red character and a yellow character in a 3D game environment, possibly related to the game they are discussing. A sticker design is featured prominently, with the Japanese words "sales refusal" and a cartoonish character on it. This sticker is mentioned as being designed to be placed on doors to refuse door-to-door sales, and it became a popular item. The interview talks about the creative process behind this sticker and how it relates to their game development. It seems the sticker idea came about as a fun side project, and they considered including it as a bonus item in their game packages. The interview also touches upon the challenges and anxieties they faced during development, especially regarding whether their game would be well received by Nintendo and players. They mention the Mario Club and their concerns about meeting Nintendo's quality standards. A photograph shows 2 men, one in a leopard print suit, who is likely the Ashura mentioned in the interview. This suggests a humorous and informal tone to the discussion about game development. This page features an interview with the developers of Pokémon Snap, including Yamamoto, Ashura, Iwata, and Kawase. They discuss the development of Pokémon Snap, focusing on the core concept of taking photos of Pokémon, which was a unique idea. They had challenges in making the polygon-based Pokémon look lively and vibrant, especially compared to Pokémon Stadium. The interview touches on the decision to use the A button as the shutter for taking pictures, aiming for simplicity and ease of use, especially for younger players. They even playtested with elementary school children. The developers highlight their dedication to making the game fun and accessible for kids. An interesting detail is that Pikachu's in-game model was remade 5 times. They also compare Pokémon Snap to Pokémon Stadium, noting the different technical approaches required for each game. The overall tone is about the passion and effort put into creating a Pokémon game, that was different and enjoyable for a wide audience. This page is an interview with developers from HAL Laboratory focusing on the development of Pokemon Snap for the N64. They discuss the challenges of creating 3D models for Pokemon, particularly Pikachu, for the N64 console, aiming for a high level of visual appeal and cuteness. The conversation covers the design and inspiration behind the 01 Go, the vehicle players use in Pokemon Snap, detailing how they made it functional and visually interesting within the game. The developers also touch upon their experiences creating Pokemon models for previous titles like Stadium, highlighting the improvements and collaborative efforts made for Pokemon Snap to bring the world of Pokemon to life on the N64. There is a lighthearted mention of Mother 3 during the interview. The interview emphasizes the meticulous work involved in refining the Pokemon models, especially focusing on capturing their expressions and poses to make them believable and engaging for players. The design process of the 01 Go is also elaborated on, from its initial concept to its implementation in the game, showcasing the dedication to detail in bringing the world of Pokemon Snap to fruition. This page is an interview with the developers of Pokemon Snap, focusing on the game's development and design. The interview features Yamamoto-san and Ashura-san. They discuss the concept of the game, originally envisioned with river stages and featuring Pokemon on rafts. The idea evolved into a photography-based game, where players take pictures of Pokemon in their natural habitats. They mention the challenge of fitting the game's content within the N64 cartridge size, especially with the desire to include a lot of Pokemon anime footage. The developers wanted to create a simple and intuitive game, where players can easily take photos with a single button press. They highlight the album aspect of the game as a key feature, encouraging players to find joy in collecting and viewing their Pokemon photos. The page also includes information about a Pokemon Snap Nice Shot Idea Contest, encouraging players to submit their best in-game photos for a chance to win prizes. The content emphasizes the fun and creative aspects of Pokemon Snap, positioning it as a game about discovery and capturing the essence of Pokemon through photography. Screenshots from the game are shown, featuring various Pokemon in their environments. There's also a mention of HAL Laboratory and Creatures Inc. as being involved in the game's development. In a developer interview, Masahiro Sakurai, director of Super Smash Bros., discusses designing a universally enjoyable game. He details adjustments to difficulty, sound effects, and character appearances, like Mario's enlarged head. Bonus stages are designed to teach character abilities, although early concepts involving practice questions were scrapped. The focus is on fast, efficient completion for high scores. Sakurai emphasizes that no single character is definitively the strongest, as each has weaknesses, and player skill determines character effectiveness. The interview also includes a table of bonus stage completion times for various characters, with Sakurai's personal records noted. In an interview discussing Super Smash Bros., Masahiro Sakurai reveals character preferences and design choices. Beginners often gravitate towards Kirby and Link, but advanced players favor characters like Donkey Kong, Fox, and Ness. Sakurai himself prefers Captain Falcon. Fox is highlighted as a powerful character due to his reflector. The interview also covers the game's logo, which was designed to be simple. Sakurai discusses the game's modes and the potential for a sequel, possibly tied to Kirby 64, though no plans are concrete. Kirby 64 is confirmed to be developed by a different team. Finally, the page includes a prize giveaway with Kirby-themed items and other merchandise. Readers can enter by sending a postcard with their details and HAL Research Institute comments by April 21st. This page is from the N64 question box section, Volume 32 of the magazine, and features a Q&A with Honpo Yoshio from Nintendo's Public Relations Department. The introduction discusses requests from readers to change Honpo-san's attire. The first question is about the 64DD membership system. Honpo-san responds that they cannot give detailed information yet, but suggests announcements might come around August, possibly during the Space World event. They are aiming to announce details like pricing, specifications, and playable content around April. The second question asks about release plans after Pokemon Snap. Honpo-san confirms that Pokemon Stadium 2 is slated for release at the end of April, before Golden Week. He also mentions Mario Golf 64 as another game planned for release in spring. He notes that scheduling is difficult because software from other companies might also be released around the same time, but promises more concrete details in the next issue. The page includes images of Honpo Yoshio, cartoon drawings, and Pikachu with an apple, likely promoting Pokemon Stadium 2. The next page is a question and answer section from the magazine. It addresses questions related to popular N64 games. One question asks about the sales of Zelda, likely referring to The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. And the answer states it has sold 6 million copies worldwide as per newspaper reports. Another question is about the sales performance of Smash Bros., which is Super Smash Bros. In English, and the answer indicates it is selling very well. A further question inquires about the release date of the next Star Wars game, specifically Star Wars Rogue Squadron, known in Japan as Star Wars Shutsugeki Rogue Chutai. The response is that they are still considering the release timing. Finally, there's a question regarding the pronunciation of Zelda characters in the American version. The answer clarifies that the pronunciations are mostly the same, listing characters like Twinarova, Kotake, Kume, Princess Ruto, Kaipora, Gaibora, and Darunia. This page is a Q&A section from a magazine focusing on Nintendo 64 games. The top section discusses the commercials for Pokemon Snap. A reader asks about the feeling of the commercial, and the response describes it as cheerful and similar to previous Pikachu commercials. It also mentions the commercial style is similar to the Pokemon Pinball CM. Dialogue snippets from the Pokemon Pinball commercial are provided, featuring Meowth and an old man character interacting, with Meowth using phrases like, "But it's Meowth," and the old man responding. The bottom section addresses a question about Pokemon Stadium 2 and whether you need Game Boy Pokemon to play it. The answer clarifies that you can still enjoy Pokemon Stadium 2 even without Game Boy Pokemon games by using rental Pokemon within the game. It notes that 151 Pokemon can be used, although Pokemon Gold and Silver compatibility isn't mentioned, implying it's not initially supported. However, if you want to use Pokemon you've trained in the Game Boy games, you'll need a separately sold 64GB pack. Transfer pack. A screenshot of gameplay from Pokemon Stadium 2 is shown, featuring a battle scene. This Q&A discusses upcoming N64 games and related topics. Mario Artist is expected to be playable at Space World, with the series planned to have 4 titles, including some for the 64DD. A Pokemon Snap sticker printing idea is also mentioned. A Metroid sequel is unlikely due to development constraints, though the protagonist, Samus Aran, is confirmed. Instead, an updated Game Boy Wars-style game is hinted at. FZEROXDD will feature custom machine creation and a fastest ghost present mode. Finally, Pikachu's varying appearances are attributed to different software and evolving artistic styles, with both old and new designs remaining cute. Nintendo prioritizes TV over radio commercials for game promotion due to greater effectiveness. This Nintendo Q&A reveals details on upcoming games and strategies. Pokemon Gold and Silver will allow transfers from previous games, likely Red and Blue, and will feature approximately 100 new Pokemon, including Lugia and Togepi. Nintendo is still determining its E3 show content, potentially featuring titles from Kyoto and overseas developers, including a possible Donkey Kong Country game and hinting at Zelda content. They won't show Ultra Donkey Kong. Game development begins with experimentation and basic planning. 1080-degree snowboarding is used as an example. The Q&A also addresses the high cost of TV commercials, particularly regarding GoldenEye 007, mentioning past commercials and the difficulty of redoing them. This page features questions and answers from the N64 question box. The first question asks about challenging Guinness records in Mario Kart 64, but the answer clarifies this is not a real thing. Instead, it is referencing a TV show where a celebrity's father is attempting a challenge for prize money related to Mario Kart 64. The next question is about playing Mother 2 before Mother 3 is released. The answer enthusiastically recommends playing Mother 2, which was released internationally as Earthbound, highlighting its story, music, and emotional depth, and mentions Ness, a character from Earthbound who appears in Super Smash Bros. It also mentions you can write game saves for Game Boy at Lawson convenience stores for 1,000 yen. The following question asks if Nintendo is strict about used software. The response explains, Nintendo generally adheres to industry standards set by groups like CESA and their no resale mark. While Nintendo generally follows these industry directions, they don't independently enforce restrictions on used software. The final question is about eternal regulation, which refers to spoilers. The answer explains that spoilers are undesirable in magazines, as they ruin the enjoyment of experiencing games firsthand. Nintendo is reportedly reducing the amount of spoiler information released about their software, and the extent of spoiler control varies depending on the game. At the bottom, there is a N64 question box: big recruitment, section encouraging readers to send in their N64-related questions by fax or mail to the 64Dream editorial department. This page is reporting on the second Culture Agency Media Arts Festival, where The Legend of Zelda received the grand prize in the Digital Art Interactive Division. The award ceremony took place on February 26th at the New National Theatre in Tokyo. There were also special seminars and lectures planned in March. The article describes the ceremony and the celebratory party afterwards, noting the lively atmosphere and speeches from award recipients including Shigeru Miyamoto. Miyamoto humorously mentioned his career path from wanting to be a manga artist to becoming a game designer, expressing his happiness to be in the presence of manga artists. The article also highlights One Big Banana as a nominated work in the Digital Art Interactive category. Other award winners mentioned are Hassel Tokitama-kun for Digital Art Non-Interactive, Kujira no Jump for Animation, and Sakamoto Ryoma and Kurogane Hiroshi for Manga. Finally, the event was featured on the NHKBS TV program Mayonaka no Okoku, which showcased The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time during its broadcast. This page features a few notable sections. Firstly, there's an announcement for the Pokémon Festival 99 Spring event, taking place across 5 locations in Japan during March and April. It mentions attractions, mini-events, and card corners, highlighting the Pokémon Snap and Pokémon Stadium 2 games. Next, there's an event for Wonder Project J 2 Feet 99, which is happening in April, seemingly related to the Enix game Wonder Project J2, Koro, and Forest of Gion. It mentions guest appearances from producer Meter Yamada and Enix's Hiroshi Fujioka. In the middle of the page, there's a preview of the Pokemon movie Phantom Pokemon X, revealing that the mysterious Pokemon X is Lugia. It mentions a new character called Collector Gildan. The page also highlights a Pokemon 3rd Anniversary Spring Special campaign at 6 stores. This campaign offers discounted bundles of games including The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Pikachu Genki Daichu. Hey you, Pikachu! Finally, there is a section about the Kyojin.com homepage, which appears to be a website about game development, specifically mentioning Ida Kazutoshi and his game Giant no Doshin, Doshin the Giant. It warns about a fake version of the site and promotes the official one. This page covers several gaming-related news items. Bandai is releasing new Pokemon Kids figures based on the anime for 100 yen each, alongside a more expensive DX series, 500 yen, featuring Orange Island's characters. A re-release of the classic Game & Watch Mario Bros. Handheld was announced, while Konami released the soundtrack for Castlevania Symphony of the Night on CD. Enix, after initial reluctance, agreed to allow small retailers to sell used games under certain restrictions, including a 9-month sales ban and a 7% royalty. Finally, the page mentions the availability of the book Nintendo's Law, a related editorial on copyright, and financial predictions estimating strong sales for Nintendo. For spring break fun, this page recommends 2 N64 games. First, Pokémon Snap lets you photograph Pokémon in their natural habitats, earning scores and creating albums. It emphasizes visual appeal, Pokémon reports, and sticker printing at Lawson stores. Second, JIKU Powerful Pro Yaku 6 is a realistic baseball game with updated data, including the Seibu Lions and Matsuazaka. It features a success mode, new modes like Dramatic Pennant and Home Run Race, and improved gameplay with enhanced visuals. The page also includes a Link's Tiny Big Adventure comic and a T-Break puzzle, introducing a new line-connecting puzzle game with Mario characters. The next page covers a commemorative lecture and interview with Miyamoto after he received an award at the Culture Agency Arts Festival. Miyamoto discusses receiving the award, noting it feels like recognition for his team's work on titles like Super Mario 64 and The Legend of Zelda. He reflects on the transition from director to producer and the evolving landscape of game development, mentioning digital animation and the desire to create experiences that evoke emotion. Miyamoto also touches on the importance of story in games, the challenges of the market, and the role of violence in entertainment. He reminisces about his early influences, including manga and his time at Nintendo, and his thoughts on the future of the gaming industry and the need for creativity over technical boasting, mentioning the new PlayStation console and the trend towards prioritizing technology over compelling game design. He emphasizes the importance of creators having a clear vision and making games that are both fun and engaging, referencing his early work on Famicom and his continuous drive to innovate and create new forms of entertainment. In this interview, game developer Shigeru Miyamoto discusses his creative process, highlighting the shift to 3D game development and its impact on camera work and expressive possibilities due to improved hardware. He mentions his role as a producer on the Artist series for the 64DD, emphasizing its potential. Miyamoto addresses the balance between 2D and 3D game creation, suggesting that 3D is the future, but 2D elements can still be incorporated. He prioritizes player feel and experience, citing the Zelda system as an example, aiming for emotional impact. He reveals that the Zelda system is about 60% complete, and his team is refining it. He also hints at experimenting with Mario's movements within this new system, suggesting potential future Mario games. This page is from the 64Dream newspaper and is part of a longer article. It features an interview with Miyamoto after he received an award. He reflects on the early days of making games, back when they were considered game houses, rather than the consumer market we know today. Miyamoto talks about how PC gamers used to look down on console games, but how the Famicom, NES, became a huge hit in America. He discusses the importance of simple and intuitive interfaces in games, and how Nintendo focused on creating games that were fun and innovative, rather than just chasing technology. He mentions Mario 64 and Zelda Ocarina of Time, stating that with Mario 64, 80% of the direction was his own, and with Ocarina of Time, they were thinking about expansions for it, but ultimately focused on making sure the core game was excellent and polished. Miyamoto also touches upon the idea that the most important thing is not just the hardware, but the creative ideas and making games that are unique and enjoyable experiences for players. He emphasizes Nintendo's philosophy of creating products that are useful to consumers, not just following trends. This page features an audience Q&A corner with Shigeru Miyamoto from an issue of MAITSUKI Monthly News. Miyamoto discusses his philosophy on game creation, emphasizing the importance of experiencing things firsthand and incorporating sensory experiences into game design. He mentions that for him, seeing and touching things with his own eyes is fundamental to game development, even more so than just thinking in abstract. He touches upon the creative process behind games like Mario and Zelda, where teams focus on brainstorming and prototyping, highlighting the iterative nature of game development, particularly the element of surprise and discovery they aim for in gameplay. Miyamoto also talks about the Pokemon series, mentioning that initially, the concept was for a game where players could exchange creatures. He reflects on the evolution of the Pokemon games and characters, and the approach to creating new characters. He also shares his views on children's playtime with games and the responsibility of game creators, touching upon the debate of parental responsibility versus game influence, and emphasizes that his goal is to create games that are genuinely fun and engaging for children, aiming for games that resonate with them on a deeper level. There's a Hamidashi News section mentioning a lecture event about the latest technology of Japanese high-tech art, and a corner discussing character design versus system design, where Miyamoto seems to prefer focusing on the overall game system and mechanics rather than just character creation alone. This page is all about Fire Emblem, Thracia 776 for the Super Famicom, and it's the magazine's first look at actual in-game screenshots. The article focuses on setting the scene and explaining the story's prologue, which is centered around the political tensions in the Thracia region. It's split into North and South Thracia, detailing how the Granvelm Empire is influencing the North, while the Thracia Kingdom holds power in the South. We get to see screenshots of both the field map and battle sequences, giving us an early glimpse of the game's graphics and gameplay. There's also an introduction to a character named Lala, who's part of the Manster Resistance. Battles are described as strategic and engaging, promising new weapons and unit types to spice things up. While the release date and price are still to be decided by Nintendo, this preview is clearly aimed at getting players hyped for this Super Famicom strategy RPG. This page delves into Fire Emblem, Thracia 776, focusing on the game's drama and characters. It highlights the story's premise, set in Grand Calendar Year 776, in a small village in Thracia Peninsula, detailing the conflict and showcasing in-game dialogue between characters like Orson and Lycaraphus. Character profiles are presented for Halvin, described as a member of the Fianna Warrior, and Matty, a member of the Dagda unit, known for his strength and gentle nature. Ronan, a hunter from Ice Village skilled with bows and arrows, and Seifi, a sister from Tahra City, are also introduced. The page further details weapons and items found in the game, categorizing them into swords, spears, bows, axes, magic, and items, listing specific examples for each type. It also points out special weapons like the light sword and brave lance, noting their unique characteristics. Screenshots illustrate the game's combat and map screens. This page is dedicated to Harvest Moon 2, known as Harvest Moon 64 internationally, focusing on romance in the game. It highlights that life isn't just about working on the farm, but also about love. The page offers advice on romancing the girls in the game, with tips on targeting girls, taking action in events, and giving presents. It mentions that knowing your rival's actions is important, and that you should also work diligently on the farm. There's a section about checking heart colors to gauge affection levels, and a screenshot illustrating a dialogue scene with Mary. The article suggests aiming for a loving ranch life in Harvest Moon 2. This page unveils the secret data of the girls from Harvest Moon 64. It introduces 5 bachelorette characters. Ari, the cheerful cake shop clerk who loves cooking. Mary, the intelligent librarian and daughter of the mayor who is passionate about books. Potpourri, the friendly flower shop girl who enjoys gardening. Ran, the energetic ranch daughter with a love for animals. And Karen, the vineyard daughter who loves wine and defies her father. For each girl, the page details their profession, birthday, favorite locations, hobbies, and recommended gifts. It also highlights their rival character, who is a potential love interest for the player if they don't pursue the girl. For example, Erie's rival is Jeff, the cake shop manager, while Mary's rival is Harris, the town's postman. Potpourri's rival is Gray, from the Green Ranch. Rand's rival is Cliff, a mysterious traveler, and Karen's rival is Kai, who works at the vineyard. At the bottom of the page, there's a call for players to submit their best farm designs for Harvest Moon 2 for a chance to win an original farm t-shirt and have their farm featured in the magazine. The deadline is April 20th. This page introduces Game Boy Gallery 3, highlighting it as a spring special sale item. It showcases the game's features, stating it includes 5 types of classic Game & Watch games playable in both their original old-style and modernized modern-style modes. The 5 featured games with screenshots are Egg, Greenhouse, Turtle Bridge, Mario Brothers, and Donkey Kong Jr. The page details a pre-order campaign for Game Boy Gallery 3 and the Game Boy Color console as a set at a special price of 10,000 yen, tax included, emphasizing it's a great deal. The standalone Game Boy Color is priced at 8,900 yen, tax excluded, and Game Boy Gallery 3 individually at 3,500 yen, tax excluded. Pre-order periods are listed from March 1st to April 30th, with 3 sales periods and corresponding product collection dates. Period 1 pre-orders close March 29th, collection April 8th. Period 2 pre-orders close April 15th, collection April 23rd. Period 3 pre-orders close April 30th, collection May 14th. The date for Game Boy Gallery 3 is announced as May 15th. Priced at 3,500 yen. This page showcases a mix of games for Super Famicom and Game Boy Color. At the top, we see Picross NP Volume 1 for Super Famicom, boasting 120 puzzles and a beginner-friendly design that teaches you the rules as you play, making it accessible for newcomers to Picross. It also mentions a prize campaign associated with the game. Below on the left is Nobunaga's Ambition, Game Boy Edition 2, a historical simulation game for Game Boy Color. It's presented as a full-fledged strategy title where players aim to unify Japan in 1560, featuring scenarios with famous warlords and large-scale battles. The screenshots show in-game maps, character stats, and battle sequences. On the right is Gakyu o Yamazaki GB version, also for Game Boy Color, described as a raising simulation game. The goal here is to nurture a Puzun to be the strongest, by earning pocket money, attending school, and acquiring items. Set in Crown Town, you interact with familiar characters and friends, competing to become the strongest. The screenshots show gameplay screens with items, characters, and stats, emphasizing the RPG-like item management and character interaction aspects. This page features previews of 4 upcoming Game Boy Color titles. First up is Pocket Family GB2 from Hudson, a simulation game slated for a summer release. It builds upon the original by expanding from 1 to 4 family homes, emphasizing family interactions and robot helpers in a larger neighborhood setting with a central park. Mini-games are also highlighted as a feature. Next is Spy vs. Spy, an action game by Kemco expected in late June. The focus is on the enhanced 2-player battle mode using link cables. The game features mission selection and side-scrolling gameplay. Moving on. Medarot 2, an RPG from Imagineer also planned for a summer release, is the sequel to Narrated, coming in 2 versions. It continues the story, with protagonist Ikki as a high school student in the world after the first game. Customization and robot parts are key elements in this RPG. Finally, Animal Forest 3, a simulation game by J-Wing, is set for an early June release with a price of 4,800 yen. This game focuses on creating your own zoo by raising over 200 types of animals and aiming to win the world tournament. Breeding animals to discover new species and minigames like rock, paper, scissors with pets are part of the gameplay. The next page highlights 3 Game Boy Color titles. Firstly, Rivermaster 4, an RPG set for release in July, priced at 4,200 yen, boasts being the first in the series with color and vibration functionality, aiming for a more realistic fishing experience. It features fishing in both rivers and seas, insect collecting, and fish gathering. Next is Pocket Train 2, a simulation game categorized as SLG, releasing on March 26 for 3,980 yen. This section introduces the game's routes, specifically the Odakyu-Odawara line and Nankai Airport line, focusing on train operation and route management. Lastly, QUI, a magic genre game also launching on March 26 for 3,980 yen, presents a puzzle-style training system. Players navigate a training road to develop their QUI character, with panel arrangements influencing growth. Battles involve predicting enemy positions and aiming for the Galaxy 1 tournament victory. The screenshots show gameplay for each title, including fishing scenes, train route interfaces, and puzzle battle screens. This Illustration Special Hall of Fame showcases fan art inspired by Nintendo 64 games. Featured are reader submissions, with the submission deadline at the end of the month. Artwork includes Mario enjoying sake, Link from Zelda praised for his depiction, and Mother 2 characters capturing warmth. Zelda, Ocarina of Time scenes, Super Bonk Kids characters, and a Marin-like character are also highlighted. Pokemon art, Kirby with flowers, and Zelda-inspired playing card designs are shown. A cute girl in profile, a group illustration in a Get Her Love style, and a Flower Bride version of Soda from FE are included. Each piece notes the artist's location and specific details about their style or the artwork's theme. This page displays fan art themed around heroes, with a Pokemon 3rd anniversary theme to follow. The art features various video game heroes, including Reef, Fire Emblem, Link, Legend of Zelda, characters from Star Fox 64, Mario, and Shiren the Wanderer. Other featured heroes include a Fire Emblem character, Captain Falcon, F-Zero X, an original character, and Goemon, Ganbare Goemon. The art styles vary, with one Captain Falcon piece rendered in a comic book style. The page also includes fan letters to other artists, and a section dedicated to artwork by children, primarily featuring Kirby and Zelda characters. This page is showcasing fan art submissions. There's a Donkey Kong Country 3-piece with Dixie and Kiddy Kong. A Pokemon illustration features Ash and Misty, and another Pokemon art shows Ash with Eevee and Pikachu, with a comment about battling. There are several Legend of Zelda artworks. One of Zelda, another of young Link and Zelda together described as growing up together, one showing Zelda and Ganondorf with intense eyes, and another of Zelda as Sheik. There's also a Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link piece with Link and a fairy, and a Zelda, Ocarina of Time art of Zelda in an egg. Other fan art includes Mario Story, Paper Mario, with Mario and Peach, Super Mario 64 with Mario and Yoshi, and Mario Artist featuring Mario and Peach again, described as a picture maker. There are also Fire Emblem illustrations, one of a Fire Emblem character, and another featuring Nana, described as a character from FE. A Kirby Superstar artwork shows Kirby and King Dede, and a Ganbare Goemon piece features Goemon and Ebisumaru, praised for capturing the series' unique flavor. Lastly, there's a more realistic style Zelda illustration, described as a Bombchu Bowling style Zelda. Each artwork includes a comment from the submitter and their location. This page is dedicated to reader submissions, showcasing fan-created 4-panel manga and illustrations under the title, Go Forth! Mario Support Squad. The 4-Koma Manga Dojo section features humorous short comics. One comic from Hokkaido depicts penguins and a treasure chest. Another Legend of Zelda comic shows a girl playing an ocarina and interacting with Link. Another comic from Kyoto portrays Falcon from F-Zero comically beating up Kirby. And another Zelda comic from Tokyo has Link emerging from a treasure chest, while a girl plays the Ocarina of Time. Lastly, A Zelda comic from Kanagawa shows a crying Link being comforted by Zelda. The Killer Content Corner displays reader-submitted illustrations. One from Tokyo is a close-up drawing of Link's face, and another from Chiba shows Link pushing a shopping cart filled with Mario characters. The final illustration from Niigata depicts Mario and Luigi in a boxing ring. Finally, the page lists the winners of this month's special prize for contributing readers under categories like Military School Entry, Special Squad Sergeant Major, Corporal, Corporal Candidate, and Private First Class. It also includes information for readers on how to submit their own illustrations, and 4 Koma manga for potential publication in future issues, detailing size requirements, and prizes for selected entries. The games prominently featured are The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and F-Zero. This page is about the hidden elements in Puzzle Bobble 64, specifically the back mode and hidden characters. It reveals the conditions to unlock these secrets. The back mode itself is accessible by entering the command B, left D-pad, right D-pad, B, at the title screen after clearing the game in arcade mode. This mode allows you to play different back modes. The page then details how to unlock 5 hidden characters. First, Deborah is unlocked by clearing the single-player versus mode on normal difficulty without using any continues. Next, Drunk is unlocked by clearing the single-player versus mode on very hard difficulty without using any continues. The character Papaya appears in versus mode as a hidden character. By winning against Papaya, it becomes selectable for use in subsequent plays. Pitch and Chapu are unlocked by defeating Papaya in versus mode and then achieving a 7-win streak, appearing as the 16th opponent at the earliest. They then become playable. Finally, Dark Drunk is unlocked by defeating Pitch and Chapu in versus mode and achieving another 7-win streak. Dark Drunk will then appear and become a playable character once defeated. The page mentions that characters numbered 1 to 3, Papaya, Pitch, and Chapu Dark Drunk, must be unlocked in order. This page unveils secrets for snowboard kids, known as Cho Super Snowbo Kids in Japan, detailing how to unlock hidden characters and courses. To access hidden courses, you must clear up to Course 10 and Skill Game 3 to unlock Course 11, called Kachinkochin Land. Hidden characters like Black Kogre are unlocked by defeating him in boss battles, with Snowboard Sensei appearing in trick games if you score over 300 points. There's also a section about special boards, which can be acquired under certain conditions, like clearing specific areas in the game. The page then moves on to Chokukan Niter Pro Yaku King 2, a baseball game, focusing on the Create a Rival mode, allowing players to create rival characters, and the 2-player scenario mode. It highlights how to input player names in Create mode, and mentions a special input for 2-player scenario mode using the L, Z, and Start buttons. The screenshots showcase both gameplay and menu screens from the baseball game, demonstrating the rival creation and scenario selection aspects. The next page presents Hall of Fame tips for N64 games. The first section is for Super Smash Bros., revealing how to unlock the sound test and item switch options. To unlock the item switch, you must clear practice modes 1 and 2 with all 12 characters. For the sound test, you need to play VS mode over 100 times. The next section covers The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and details a trick to remotely control Epona after you've beaten the game. After defeating Ganon, if you save and reload, the Epona icon stays available, allowing you to call her, even when she normally wouldn't be accessible. Another Ocarina of Time tip explains how to take a sky trip with the hookshot. By riding Epona to Gerudo Valley and using the long shot on a target, then quickly dismounting with the A button, Link can be launched into the air for a unique aerial maneuver. Finally, another Super Smash Bros. Tip, this time specifically for Link, teaches how to control the angle of his boomerang. By inputting up or down on the 3D stick immediately after throwing the boomerang, you can change its trajectory in flight, making it easier to hit opponents who aren't directly in front of you. This page details dream techniques for various N64 games. In Super Smash Bros., hold Z and move the 3D stick to rotate characters. In Snowboard Kids, press B at Go for a rocket start. Ocarina of Time allows you to launch Tektites skyward with the Megaton Hammer. Speed up CPU turns in Getter Love by holding B. In Banjo-Kazooie's Rusty Bucket Bay, repeatedly use the flap flip jump underwater to extend breath. Finally, in Donkey Kong 64, misidentified as Castlevania, Opening the King Skeleton statue's mouth after defeating King K. Rool is detailed. The page also solicits reader submissions of N64 game tips, offering prizes for the best submissions, with instructions for submitting via postcard or FAX. This page offers a look at upcoming N64 titles. Mother 3, a role-playing game, is teased as a grand narrative spanning generations, with a sound battle system reminiscent of Zelda. Super Mario RPG 2 introduces a paper-thin Mario, with Yoshi's family and new characters appearing, although previous characters Mario and Geno are absent. The RPG LTL is about revenge and complex magic combat, already out overseas but with no Japanese release in sight. Zool, The Legend of the Beastmaster, is a strategic RPG with a strong storyline, nearing completion. Hybrid Heaven, another RPG, was showcased at the Tokyo Game Show, promising a mature world different from other N64 games, with more news expected soon. Robot Pankatsu 64 is a racing RPG linked with the Game Boy's Robopon, suggesting remote control features similar to the GB version. Ultra Donkey Kong, a 3D action title from Rare, is anticipated to be impressive, with news expected at E3. Conker's Quest, an action-adventure starring Conker, was playable in '97, but remains unreleased, indicating significant development effort. Lastly, Kirby 64, initially envisioned as Kirby's Air Ride, has transformed into a minigame collection for everyone to enjoy. Upcoming N64 games include several titles from Nintendo. Super Mario 64 2, potentially blending Mario and Zelda elements, and The Legend of Zelda DD, hinting at DD content. Action games like Winback, Koei, Superman Titus, Bomberman Hero, Hudson featuring new characters and modes, and Neon Genesis Evangelion, Bandai/Gainax, are also highlighted. Tonic Trouble, Ubisoft, Last Legion UX, Hudson, a robot fighting game, and Flying Dragon's Fist Stadium Real version, Culture Brain, a realistic fighting game, round out the action titles. Adventure games include Shadowgate 64, Kemco, delayed to July, Kindaichi Case Files, Hudson, and SimCity 64, Nintendo, a city-building simulation for the 64DD. This preview highlights several upcoming Nintendo 64 games. Simulation games include Cabbage, Silent Summer Story, and One Guy Monster, the latter boasting over 500 monster types, and a release in April 1999. Konami also has a horse racing game, Jikyu Gi Stable, set for April 28, 1999. Strategy titles include Ogre Battle 3, Person of Lordly Caliber, 64 Wars, and Nintama Rantaru Challenge Puzzle 64. Action games feature Super Dimension Fortress Macross, Another Dimension, PD Ultraman Battle Collection 64, Flight Simulator, Star Wars, Assault, Rogue Squadron, and a potential Japanese release of the already released overseas title, Turok 2. Release dates range from spring 1999 to potentially later, with some titles still tentative. This software catalog showcases upcoming N64 games. Baseball games include Ultra Baseball Jitsumebon 64 and Jikyo Powerful Pro Yaku 6, the latter with a March 1999 release. Mario Golf 64 and Golf, tentative, are also planned, with Golf potentially featuring realistic golfers. Basketball is represented by NBA and the Zone 2. Super Bowling offers realistic graphics and techniques, releasing March 1999. Other titles include the Mahjong game, Pro Shihan Mahjong Hei, racing games Extreme G2 and Wipeout 64, and Rev Limit, a racing game delayed to summer 1999. Course creation game F-Zero XDD is also listed, as is a Pachislot game, Jissen Pachisuro Hishuhao. Many games lack firm release dates but are anticipated. Upcoming Nintendo 64 and 64DD games are previewed. Pokemon Snap, releasing March 21, 1999, allows players to photograph Pokemon on Pokemon Island. Pokemon Stadium 2, due in late April 1999, will feature battles with all 151 Pokemon and 4-player tag matches. Several Mario Artist titles are planned for the 64DD. Picture Maker, a drawing tool, Polygon Maker for creating 3D models, Talent Maker for incorporating video and creating animated characters, and Sound Maker, a music composition tool. 2 Marigold Project games for the 64DD, Animal Leader and Giant Citizen Kabuto, Kyojin no Doshin, are also in development. Mother 3 and Neon Genesis Evangelion are featured in a My Anticipated Game section, along with further fan comments on Mario Artist Soundmaker and Giant Citizen Kabuto. This page from the Capcom Fan Club section of a magazine highlights N64 news and fan interactions. It starts by announcing new Capcom titles at the end of February, focusing on N64 information to be released this month. The page features a Biohazard 64 Inification Plan section, showcasing Resident Evil content for the N64. This includes details on Resident Evil trading cards designed by Wildstorm, and a Resident Evil radio drama titled Living Spy, Aida, airing on Radio Osaka for 4 weeks starting March 6th. A screenshot from Resident Evil is also shown. The user corner includes fan comments expressing excitement for the N64. One user mentions the announcement of Resident Evil 64 and hopes to see Jill from Resident Evil 2 in the N64 version. Another user expresses love for Final Fight 2 on Super Famicom and hopes for this series on N64. There is also a comment about wanting Resident Evil to be released on N64 and expecting original games from Capcom. Finally, the exciting postcard ranking shows that the Resident Evil series is still popular on N64, ranking 5th after the Vampire, Darkstalkers series, and Final Fight series. The ranking lists point totals for various Capcom series including Resident Evil, Darkstalkers, Mega Man, and Final Fight. The bottom of the page provides address details for readers to send postcards. This page highlights a reader prize giveaway from 64Dream magazine. The top prize is a Nintendo 64 console. Other prizes include a set of colorful N64 controllers called Controller Bros, a special Pokémon 3rd Anniversary Game Boy Color, standard Game Boy Color consoles, and a Pokémon Center original mousepad. There are also prizes related to Shigeru Miyamoto, including signed hint books, posters, and pamphlets featuring his signature. Pokémon figures from the DX Pokémon Kids Series 3 are also featured. Zelda Ocarina of Time card trading cards are also up for grabs. The fighting game SD Hiryu no Ken Double Dragon, SD for N64, is part of the giveaway, along with Beatmania GB for Game Boy. A Pokémon card game playmat and a Horicom Commander N64 controller are also listed. Finally, a Game Boy Pocket case is included in the prize selection. The application deadline is April 20, 1999, and winners will be announced in the July issue of 64Dream magazine, scheduled for release in May. This 64Dream magazine reader survey gauges reader opinions on the current issue. It includes a questionnaire focusing on cover appeal, article interest, and anticipated N64 games. The survey presents 3 tables. Table 1 lists articles from the magazine. Table 2 details Game Boy models owned. And Table 3 categorizes software titles, including games like Winback, Kirby 64, and SimCity 64. The page also announces a prize giveaway for the March issue, offering prizes like a Nintendo 64, Game Boy Color, and various themed merchandise. And on Kato's Viewpoint section provides an editor's note acknowledging reader feedback and contributions. This page is an announcement for the June issue of the magazine, which is scheduled to be released on Wednesday, April 21st, priced at 490 yen. The next menu section teases the contents, mentioning Pokémon collections, specifically Pokémon Gold and Silver, Stadium 2, and Pokémon Snap, alongside news about Power Pro 6 and Ogre Battle 3. The editor's voice section includes notes about original Zelda telecard submissions, the buzz around Sony's high-performance machine announcement, and speculation about Nintendo and Miyamoto's next moves. There's also a reflection on life, work, and the relaxing nature of taking baths. The page also lists the staff members for the magazine and provides contact information for editorial submissions and back-issue inquiries. At the bottom, there are images of magazine covers featuring Zelda and Ogre Battle 3. At the top right, there is a small comic strip featuring Bowser. This page is an advertisement for the Nintendo 64 game Pokémon Snap. It highlights the game's concept of taking photos of wild Pokémon on Pokémon Island. The ad also details a promotion with Lawson convenience stores where players can print sticker sheets of their favorite in-game snapshots. The game is advertised as a camera action game for one player with a backup function, launching on March 21st, Sunday, for a suggested retail price of 6,800 yen before tax. This page advertises the Nintendo 64 game Jinsei Game 64, known in English as The Game of Life 64, highlighting its 3D stick roulette gameplay and the ability for up to 4 players to enjoy it with just one controller. The advertisement also mentions that the game is currently on sale for 6,800 yen, excluding tax. Screenshots showcase various minigames and customizable map features within The Game of Life 64. Additionally, the page references the May issue of the magazine itself, promoting Pokemon Stadium 2 and GameCube Powerful Pro Yaku 6 as featured content. It also mentions Game Boy Color compatibility for Jinsei Game.